There's a lot of ground gears on the internet recently, seemingly because we've all been stuck inside for a year now, slowly losing our minds whilst having heated debates with the nearest pet. There are oh so many people spearheading various different woke campaigns and movements to change the world, and equally, so many groups opposing them. On one side you have boring, down-to-earth traditionalists who are content with the way they live and each other, and on the other, the activist subculture who for some reason believe that no one should ever be offended by anything anyone ever says, ever. But whether or not you spend your time dreaming up sexist jokes or deciding which statue to pull down next, everyone boils down to one specific fact. People are stupid, without a doubt. Sure, an individual may have interesting and unique ideas, put in a situation with the correct assortment of peers, you might even get some intelligent conversation. But all in all, a congregation of random people who share similar opinions, strung together through a Facebook page, will always end with an incoherent mess. Although admittedly, they still do much better than some political parties we've had in the UK over the years. The fact of the matter is, the moment you put a lot of people in the same space, the collective IQ of the room dramatically decreases, leaving them all very vulnerable to emotional manipulation. Think about how that one person getting pushed in a crowd of protesters could eventually lead to a full-on riot. Or this Darren Barron experiment as well, where he manipulates a studio audience into tormenting an unsuspecting regular Joe with a series of hidden camera stunts, only to lay this amazing guilt trip on them.
Let him off, here come the kidnappers! I can't hear, there's too many of you talking. And tonight's experiment is about something called de-individuation, which is what happens when people become anonymous and the sort of behaviour that it brings out. We're actually playing pre-recorded footage, so Chris didn't get run over. It was our stuntman, Will. And as the evening progressed, you became less and less like individuals and more like a mob. You were affecting a real person, even to the point where you were happy for him to think he'd lost his job and were cheering for his property to be destroyed.
Of course, in a perfect world, the phenomena would be used only in the positive. Who doesn't love the atmosphere of an open-air concert after all? Or the buzz of a tightly packed party when you're 5 tequilas down. But our world is so very far away from perfect that crowd science is actually utilised in more infuriating ways for all of us on a moment-by-moment basis, as translating this collective mentality to the digital realm relays a world of entitlement and whatever this is to the public forum. There's a perception that the internet is a giant think tank debating all the issues and conflicts of reality and trying to find modern solutions to them all. The reality? It's a chaotic mess of people haphazardly compartmentalizing multiple social issues concurrently to build generalized opinions on subject matter they only have a cursory knowledge of. The internet, people. And it really drives me crazy when people speak from a position of professional authority on any given subject matter, where the only credentials they have to their name is a Facebook group and a YouTube video they watched 6 months ago.
There are Ukrainian killer dolphins on the loose.
Finland doesn't exist.
The US First Lady is using a body double.
Michael Jackson is still alive.
Major celebrities are in the Illuminati.
Aliens walk amongst us.
Stevie Wonder is not blind.
I used to think vaccines were safe, and now I know that they are not.
So-called anti-vaxxers have blanketed social media with misinformation campaigns.
Do not have to panic about measles.
Do I believe that I'm causing harm by not vaccinating my child? No, I don't.
Well, you're a fucking idiot.
That's the internet, people. Anyway, via data analysis of this crowd chaos, we get what we know today as trends, which is basically a spike in the collective but towards a particular topic of interest, or whatever social issue, meme, person, what the fuck ever happens to be popular at any given time, really. It's kind of like the stock market like that, only instead of dealing in stocks and shares, it's hopes and dreams that also happen to be very volatile with no guarantee of longevity in the public domain. And until we, as human beings, fully adapt to the information age, this chaos is all we can expect from our beloved World Wide Web. We certainly can't escape it in our entertainment, that's for sure, as James Bond is reportedly set to get a feminist twist, Captain Marvel apparently smashed the glass ceiling, and Black Panther is the most amazing accomplishment in the world, think otherwise and you're a racist. I wonder if there's some vague chance you haven't seen that film yet? Don't, it's awful. But the worst culprit for chasing trends, in my opinion, comes from here, in dear old Blighty. Doctor Who is a staple of British culture, having been around in some form or another since the mid-60s. Periodically changing the protagonist role helps keep the show feeling fresh, a change that is often accompanied by a new head writer, which strengthens its durability as a long-running show. In recent years, though, a noticeable change has occurred in the style, presentation, and overall quality of the show, and it's this dude's fault. Chris Chibnall, or Chubby Chibs as I like to call him, had made a name for himself writing all the very worst episodes of Who since its comeback in 2005, including, but not limited to, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, real inventive title there, 42, The Power of Three, and Pond Life. All episodes are renowned for being, well, a bit shit really. Much of the critical evisceration Chubby Chibs has received over the years is due to a specific over-reliance on the use of trending social issues, presented in incredibly patronising ways.
Why you two? That's robophobic. Some of my best friends are robot. What do we do? Suppose we'll have to have a conversation.
You look rough. Or is that a choice? Don't mean to conversion shame.
When he took over as head writer for Who, these habits only became stronger, which is how you eventually get to Orphan 55, an episode so bad it makes me ashamed to be British, in which the whole narrative can be distilled into the phrase global warming bad, or Rosa, that can be distilled to racism bad. The list goes on, but I think you get the idea. So essentially what is happening here is that the themes of the show, you know, the underlying philosophy behind any given piece of work, the narrative element that asserts any sort of gravitas or politicised weight to an art form, are all being replaced by trends. The irony of the situation is incredible, as merely paying lip service to such grandiose subjects such as women's rights, class structure and global warming only serves to demean and detract from said subject matter, with patronising simplicity. Basically, if you shove a message down the audience's throat with no subtlety or finesse, it makes the content seem pretty out of touch and arguably unintelligent.
Plastic. 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 The plastic. The plastic. The plastic. No plastic. For plastics. Plastics. For plastic. Plastics. Of plastic. 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 Plastic.
So it seems the BBC have sold their soul to the digital devil for access to the algorithm. And despite the terribly received examples I've shown you today, is this going to change anytime soon? Probably not, unfortunately, as our data becomes more readily available and more accumulative minute by minute. After all, it's easier to check your browser history to tell you what's popular than actually doing some research yourself. Still, I'll give it to the BBC for at least trying a more modern technique compared to the usual deeply old-fashioned prerogatives. I mean, they failed catastrophically, but, you know, it's the BBC. They do that. Though maybe one day the human race will evolve past the point of reactionary media and realise that utilising current issues deserves a little more subtlety and thought. We were doing great in the 90s, just look at Next Gen for Christ's sake.
I've been reviewing the history of armed rebellion, and it appears that terrorism is an effective way to promote political change.
Yes, it can be. But I have never subscribed to the theory that political power flows from the battle of the gun.
Yet there are numerous examples when it was successful. The Irish Unification of 2024 and the Kenzie Rebellion.
For the most part. Or maybe the transgression of public opinion will maintain its devolutionary fall until all our entertainment needs are met by our TikTok overlords. I guess we'll just have to wait and see on that one.